Toronto, hang on, we'll get to him and you too. I think we have one open wild card line. Grab it now. If you want to talk to Matt Baglio, the Rite, the making him through coasttocoastam.com. This is she's got the devil in her heart. No, this I can't believe. She's gonna tell you all along. No, no, they will she deceive. Armando is on a Skype line in Toronto, Canada, for Matt Baglio, who's on a phone line in Rome, Italy, on Coast to Coast. Armando?
Armando. Anyways, I'm going to talk fast because I don't want to take too much of your time. Since you know a lot about exorcisms and devil influences, I'm a person who used to go to church a lot. I'm Roman Catholic, leader of a rosary at a parish over here in Toronto. My son is 4 years old. He got infected at a hospital. He has brain damage. And I have had towards God many times. And there's a battle going on in my mind every day. I won't say what I say to God because I don't want to say it over the line, but I've gotten kind of brutal. But something always brings me back. I have had occurrences in my place where I did call a priest, and he did do a blessing and a prayer, and he used holy water. The things that could be explained scientifically, but legislation was pulled off. The statue of Jesus Christ was on its face, so on and so forth. But is this my anger? I try to be. I'm not saying I haven't done bad things in the past. All of a sudden, this anger that I have toward God and not going to church, mood swings, then it's like feel like I'm a complete atheist for long periods of time, and then something pulls at my heart. In your opinion, am I more vulnerable to the attack of demonic or demons or Satan? Just wanted to ask his opinion.
Well, Armando, thank you for your question. I'm very sorry to hear about your personal situation. The best answer I could give you is I can't say. And if you're feeling these kind of things going on in your life, the best thing I can say is to try to get, if you feel like you need some spiritual help, somebody to talk to, all those kinds of things. Obviously natural reasons for why you're feeling angry. If you feel like you should talk to a priest, then definitely talk to a priest. It's something that it's a personal thing. It sounds like prayer is helping you, which is good. And don't get too worried about evil and these kinds of things. And it also sounds like something is pulling you back to God, which is a good thing. In ways, it's not very different from a lot of the priests that I interviewed. I didn't know much about what a priest has to go through, but they seem to have similar moments in their own life for whatever reason when they feel farther away from God and closer to God. And I would on this in this time in your life.
Susie is in Austin, Texas, on Coast to Coast for Matt Baglio. Go ahead, Susie.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Ian. Thank you for taking my call. I'm calling regarding some of George Norrie's guests have said hang out in bars or use drugs. Are they susceptible to demonic possession? And I was just wondering if any of Matt's research had borne that out.
Well, I hadn't heard anything about people hanging out in bars. I mean, I guess you mean people who are drinking a lot. You know, it's there's no predisposition to somebody opening themselves up to an evil spirit. You know, I have heard from some exorcists that heavy drug use, repeated drug use, sometimes open up a doorway, you know, and very hallucinogenic type of drugs, this kind of things. But again, I think it's more of a life choice involved behind the drug use, and there's other factors involved. So I wouldn't say that it's just anybody going or using drugs, these kind of things. Obviously, you know, alcohol and people should avoid drugs and all of that. But when we're talking about spiritual matters, it's not quite as simple, and it still involves life choices and that kind of thing. So if somebody's obviously giving their life over to something like alcohol, then that's definitely a bad thing.
Eric is in Boston, Massachusetts on Coast to Coast for Matt Baglio, author of The Rite. Eric?
Good evening, gentlemen. 3+ years ago, Reverend Bob Larson was on Coast to Coast at least twice. Since hearing him, I've followed him, and he has a TV show, I think, in England, and I've seen him in person twice. You know, he's having some medical issues. If people could give a quick prayer for him. Anyway, Reverend Larson does a really good job explaining possessions and talks about generational curses. My question for Matt is if he has looked at Reverend Larson or anything related to him or talked to him in person, what have you, and then what Matt, his thoughts are on generational curses.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to Bob Larson. I know of him, but I haven't spoken to him. I follow the priest, Father Gary Thomas, who came here to Rome to take a course and then apprenticed to a senior exorcist. So I was really about following his journey. Who did he talk to? Who did he learn from? So I did talk to many exorcists, but I didn't speak with him. On this thing about generational curses, you know, there are lots of things personally that I find about exorcism to be far-fetched, and though they're believed by exorcists themselves, so is the idea of a curse and how it works and these kinds of things. But again, it's not just held by exorcists; it's held by lots of Native societies. On the idea of generational curses, this idea that somebody in the past in your family could have done a ritual and cursed somebody. And that, well, you know, exorcists, I think, are divided. Some say yes, and some say no. It's the same with the idea that a person could become possessed by the spirit of an evil person rather than just a demon. Some exorcists say it's impossible. Theologically, it's impossible. Some say it is possible. I did liberated a woman that he claimed had been affected by a ritual that happened in her past and generations in the past. So I think it's a belief that some exorcists in the Catholic Church hold, but it isn't universal. It's somewhat controversial. But, you know, I think it, in theologically speaking, they certainly wouldn't rule it out, and they tend to just follow the cases they see in front of them. And still, the process of the exorcism would be the same.
Christine is in Sacramento, California on Coast to Coast for Matt Bag.
Hi. Hi, Matt. I read your book when it first came out, and I work for the Catholic Church. I'm one of the people that go in and assess situations before we call in a priest for him. The thing that I found very interesting in your book, first of all, was I wasn't aware that the college had started up in Rome, and I was really, really happy to see that, too. And I've been doing this since I was 30, and we didn't have very many priests here that were exorcists in the United States and Mexico, and I've done a lot of work in Mexico. One thing I was called for another reason, but there's one thing that